Today, the 2010 cycling season kicks off in Australia with the Santos Tour Down Under. It was here a year ago that Lance Armstrong made his comeback to the sport after coming up just 2 places short from a victory at last year's Tour de France. The Texan now returns to the bike once again, but this time it's with a new team and a new vengeance. He's now more than ever determined to reclaim his throne as king of the cycling world. But Lance isn't the only big name riding down under. A star-studded lineup that touts some of the biggest and baddest in the sport will flex their muscles in a mad dash for sprinting supremacy. The battle for the ochre-coloured leader's jersey begins next on Versus. Hello everyone and welcome to the Epic Cycle presented by Michelob Ultra. I'm Phil Liggett, alongside me is Paul Sherwin, and today the riders will face a distance of 141 kilometres. Lance Armstrong, in the second year of his comeback, has again chosen this event to start his year.
But just 48 hours before the start of the Santos Tour Down Under proper, the riders and the spectators were treated to a great race around the city centre of Adelaide. And in fact, in this race over 30 laps, Lance Armstrong was in a breakaway of 5 riders, which dominated the race for some 9 of them.
It came down to a sprint finish. HTC Columbia seemed to be laying it on for Andre Greipel, but they weren't gambling on a big move by Team Sky, the new British team. Chris Sutton of Australia leading out, his New Zealand teammate Greg Henderson moving to one side. It was a 1-2 for the British team. Andre Greipel had to be content with a place just behind.
Great way to start off a brand new season for a brand new team, first and second across the line. This year's second year of the comeback. Have you got any serious ambitions at the Tour Down Under? You were very close to the overall victory last time in time, but this year you know the course a lot better.
Well, I know it better, feel better, perhaps stronger than I was last year, perhaps fitter and a little lighter, but I still think it comes down to the sprints, and if you got 10 seconds bonus on the line and then some intermediate bonuses, it's hard to make up. Somebody wins 2 stages, they've got 20 seconds. It's awfully hard. With these particular stages and finishes, it's hard to make that up.
But on the way to the finish in Adelaide in 6 days' time, you're just going to enjoy yourself.
Oh, we're going to have a good... I mean, this is... you want to stay safe, stay out of trouble, no crashes, no injuries or illnesses, obviously, and try to build the condition. We'll go from here back home and then on to Europe. But this is a good start. The weather is obviously beautiful, and the fans are great. The roads are safe. So... it's good to be here, and I think this is a perfect way to start the year.
Lance Armstrong looking forward to a long day in the saddle in glorious sunshine. This is the route the riders face as we go from the Clare Valley across the hills to the Barossa Valley. 2 sprints along the way, one in Riverton and the other one coming at 74 kilometres in Kapunda. Then we go through Tanunda, up Menglers Hill and back to Tanunda for the finish.
Well, ideal weather conditions for the riders, 25 degrees Celsius. But Phil, if the winds blow across the course in the first 100 kilometres or so, it really could rip this field to pieces.
Massive crowd. The first time the race has started from here, the furthest point away from Adelaide the race has ever come. It's 12 years ago since it started, and the weather is excellent, 22 degrees. The rainbow jersey at the top of our picture, easy to pick out, of a world champion, Cadel Evans, the first ever Australian world professional champion in the race. In no hurry at the moment, because this is the neutralised section, Paul, where the riders just get out of town and clear the blockage. There's the flag brought in by Mike Turter.
Once that flag is drawn in, then the aggression is bound to start, and I wouldn't be surprised to see attacks coming thick and fast from Team Uni SA. But in fact, it's the riders from Euskaltel Euskadi who are launching the first attack here.
This is Gorka Izagir, who's gone clear, and he's gone from the gun. And this is unusual in as much the Spanish riders are all basically climbers, and here they are on the flat section of the road, and the first rider to attack in this race.
Well, it is an attacking team, and as you say, normally they attack when they get into the big mountain passes. That's the main field. There's no major reaction at all there. They're not so worried about one man facing up to a 141-kilometre breakaway if he wants to survive. There's a little bit of a problem at the back here. This is Gerben Loic of Omega Pharma Lotto team, and he's gone down in a crash, and it appears as well as if one of the other fallers is Cadell Evans.
Well, we're hearing that in fact he's broken his shoe here. He's behind his team car. Technically this is illegal, but I think as the fall has come just as the race is about to start, the judges must be looking the other way. The field are not racing until everybody gets back together. Lance Armstrong looking quite content so far in his new colours for Radio Shack. And you can see now by the shimmer here that it is warming up considerably. But good weather forecast all the way and not too hot.
Chance there to see the heart rate monitor for the rider. He's getting his time split here. It's 2 minutes and 20 seconds over the front end of the main field.
Well, time now for a quick break, but more of Stage 1 action from the Santos Tour Down Under after this. Want to have an inside look at the world of cycling? Well, now you can. Join Johan Brunel, 9-time winning Tour de France sports director, for daily webisodes and behind-the-scenes exclusive videos. Log on to versus.com and click on Winning with Johan. It's insane blue skies here as the peloton now. A little bit more anger because they're beginning to line up and chase down the breakaway. These boys, though, aren't too concerned.
I could say they were sitting down on the job. Major reaction here, though, Phil. The main field have pulled back the early morning breakaway. I think they didn't want him to go too clear off the front end of the main field. Once he got to 2 minutes and 20 seconds, alarm bells rang in the main field and they pulled him back into the fold. But as you can see, there's another small group starting to form of 4 riders now pulling clear.
Well, that's an interesting move. Catch one and go away again. Now, that is 4 riders getting clear. And again, it's 4 riders who are looking at each other. The rider from AG2R, in fact, the new rider who's come up to the front here for the Euskaltel is Roman Sikar, the under-23 world time trial champion. Well, road race champion, rather. 4 of them going and nobody chasing. Now, this is the sort of group that may have a little chance here.
Well, I think now they've seen that group forming at the front. They've made a note of the numbers of the riders in that group, and they've decided, I think, to have a little bit of a truce for a while. But, you know, the way professionals work, Phil, they'll allow a small breakaway like this to succeed, and then all of a sudden they'll turn up the screws later on.
2 Tour de France winners having a chat at the front there, Lance Armstrong and Oscar Pereiro. This is the world champion Cadell Evans just straining his back to see what's happening. And this is how the people of the Clare Valley have respected the Tour Down Under. They've done a marvellous job of painting the countryside in an incredible manner. These are now only 3 riders. Sikar has sat up and gone back to the field.
Well, they're inside of 1 kilometre to the first sprint point of the day. Now, these sprint points are very important over the first few days of a race like the Santos Tour Down Under, because there are time bonuses available. 3 seconds, 2 seconds and 1 second bonus for the first 3 riders to cross the finish line. That's why I think, Phil, we'll see a fairly well disputed raced out sprint here.
The young face here of Tim Rowe, as he sees an attack for the Riverton sprint. There's a small time bonus of 3 seconds, 2 seconds and 1 second. It is Kadri who's made the first move for the French AG2R team, but right after him here is Martin Kohler, and Kadri really has gone very early. The line is still 400 metres away as on his back wheel gets Martin Kohler now, and he's not going to go round him yet, and Kadri knows he's made a mistake. Rowe has sat up, he's watching from the stalls just now. He'll cross the line in 3rd place, and I'm quite sure now that Martin Kohler must win this, because he's got the advantage of coming from the back, and he goes over the shoulder there of Kadri, who knows he's beaten. He misjudged that completely. So the special Jayco sprint here in Riverton, taken by Martin Kohler. He gets a 3-second time bonus, which comes off his overall ride for the day.
Well, that could be extremely important once we get down towards the end. Have a look at this again, Phil. You can see the power of the rider from BMC on the far side. There's no way at all that he's not going to get first place in this sprint point.
New team colours for Team BMC. This is the team of Cadell Evans, by the way, so he'll be pleased his man is up the road. As we now settle into who's going to catch these boys. The gap is growing. 9 minutes and 45 seconds for the 3 leaders. The bunch very soon are going to have to make a big decision and start chasing them down. Time for a quick break on the Epic Cycle, presented by Michelob Ultra. Fans be on the lookout as Michelob Ultra has partnered with Versus for the Roll with Bob contest, where one lucky fan will ride a mountain stage with Bob Roll at this year's Tour de France. More info coming soon. Well, the dry lands around as we're crossing from the Clare Valley now towards the Barossa. The three leaders are still clear. Tim Rowe, Martin Kohler and Abil Kadri. They've been away since about 10 kilometres into the race today.
Not surprising to see at the front end of the main field, though. It's HTC Columbia doing most of the pacemaking. That was Bert Grabs, the former world individual time trial champion. But they've got some help as well there, Phil, with the other teams of the sprinters. In second place, it's Katusha. Third place, it's the new Sky team.
Now that's a novel grandstand here. The Australian flags are proudly flying. This is an area the race hasn't been before, but roads will become familiar very soon now as we head towards Kapunda for the second Jayco sprint. These three leaders have done very, very well today. The lead is coming down. The first sprint at Riverton, they were 9 3/4 minutes ahead. It's about 7 minutes lead now.
Well, looking at the speed of the main field, Phil, they're now starting to take this very seriously indeed. On the front end, it's Team Sky, and this looks to me as if it's a Chris Froome. He's normally renowned as a climber. I think they're sacrificing themselves again today for their fast man, Greg Henderson, who's in the pack.
Well, the chase is on here because they need to start this chase now, because once over the hill, down at the Menglers Hill, it's only 27 kilometres to the finish. This is Kapunda. Again, small time bonuses on the line of 3, 2 and 1 second. If these boys stay away, these small time bonuses will decide the first wearer of the ochre jersey. Well, they have tried to match Kohler in the sprint, Paul, but they had no chance. Martin Kohler leading over Kedri and Rowe here.
It's exactly the same result as the first sprint point of the day, but that will put into the back pocket of the rider from BMC in the red jersey there 6 bonus seconds. But let's not forget there are 10 seconds available for the first rider to cross the line. This is the first big assault of this year's Santos Tour Down Under. It's the big climb of Menglers Hill.
And the man turning the screw is the youngest man in the breakaway here, Timothy Rowe. He's on the Uni SA team, a team sponsorship which is celebrating 10 years in the Santos Tour Down Under. And Tim Rowe is flying the flag high here. He's put the pressure on. Trying to hang on to him is Martin Kohler. Abil Kadri's already dropped off, and it looks as though Kohler said enough is enough. He's heading up towards the summit.
Well, I think he's probably inspired by his training partner of this last week, Phil, because he actually has been training with Lance Armstrong. Once he finishes this race, he'll be moving over to the United States to ride with the Trek Livestrong development racing team. And I think he's probably today just trying to show Lance just exactly how good he's going to be in the future.
Yeah, you're right. In fact, he did say that Lance hadn't given him any tips on those training rides. Well, perhaps because in this race they are actually rivals. There's the two erstwhile breakaway, and the bunch is closing in quite rapidly behind, by the way. They're about a minute down on the leader just now, and I think Tim Rowe has sensed this, but he knows he's going to win the first King of the Mountains points here, which is a Skoda sponsorship, and that will give him the first Skoda's leader's jersey when he gets down to the finish.
And one reason that he's gone like this is what he's going to hope is if there's a split at the front end of the main field, well, he will get picked up by that split and could be ending up running down towards the finish line in a slightly smaller group. But the crowds have turned out in their thousands once again today. This is really phenomenal to see, and the crowds and everybody's really getting behind this event.
I think this is one of the biggest crowds we've seen on top of Menglers Hill. This is pretty much a regular in the Tour Down Under route. As he goes over the top, he'll know it well, and it tilts down. There's no real descent off this mountain, by the way, which is probably not going to be good for Tim Rowe. Let's have a look at the state of the field here. Look right over the top of these riders. This peloton is splitting under the pressure, and it's Armstrong's Radio Shack team who's applying the screw here.
Second place there was Jaroslav Popovic, well renowned for this pacemaking in the big mountains of races like the Giro d'Italia and the Tour de France, but it's still the same scenario. You've still got this young Australian off the front end of the main field, Timothy Rowe, and he's around about 20 to 30 seconds as the two other riders who were in the breakaway with him have now been caught by the main pack. One
man against the rest. There's not a big gap either. As Paul says, about 30 seconds now. It looks like it is definitely chased downtown here, because they know it's 27 kilometres to the finish. And a quick counter move here. It's coming from the Milram squad, and that's Thomas Rohriger. Good move. He is a climber, very strong man. He's got new colours in Milram and he wants to show them off. Digs deep here as he tries to reach the leader before the rest. It might be just the inspiration Rowe will require.
Well, this is a good time to hit them there. He's looking over his shoulder, Tim Rowe, and he can see the blue jersey of the Milram rider from Germany coming across the gap. If he does make the junction here, it may well just be able to prize out a few more seconds advantage over the front end of the main field, because as we're looking now at almost 20 kilometres to go, there may well be a lull in the chase at the front end of the pack.
Tim took one look. He's dug deep there to try and grab his back wheel. He seems to have done it. as they're continuing to run away from the top of Menglers Hill. They'll soon be seeing 20 kilometres to go down to the finish, which is in Tanunda itself, and there is a massive crowd waiting in Tanunda to welcome these riders in. Now, can Roriga do it? Be a big result for him. Tim Rowe can't. Enough is enough. It's been an awful long way for those young legs. Nonetheless, he'll be the King of the Mountains leader tomorrow as the field now sweep him up.
Well, he's happy, I think, to be back in the shelter of the main field, but you can see the main field is getting itself very organised. It's the black and red jerseys of Case d'Espagna all over the front end of the main field. Maybe a victory today for Alejandro Valverde, who everyone has said is riding extremely well in training.
Well, the field below, there's only 60 riders in the hunt. Time for a quick break on the Epic Cycle, presented by Michelob Ultra. Well, there's the peloton, and the lime green jerseys there are the Liquigas squad. They've got sprinters on the test team here. Also the yellow and black of HTC Columbia. They've got Greipel, of course. And looking down, I don't see too much evidence of the Sky squad down there just yet.
Well, this is the man leading the race. You can see still holding on to about a 10 or 15 second advantage. I would think if he looks over his shoulder, he will catch a glimpse of the shadow of the main field, who are now getting themselves organised.
Well, the one thing about the run in here to the finish in Tanunda, it is a long straight road, and you really can't get away from the field. And I think that's what Matt Wilson has thought. He's made his move. He can't keep that sort of pace up with the peloton now winding him in. A lot of evidence there now from the yellow and black jerseys of HTC Columbia.
Well, they're waiting again. Another move coming. This Garmin team here, Phil, this year are really trying to be extremely aggressive. I think this is Jack Bobridge. It was in this race last year that he made a name for himself and caught the eye of riders like, of course, Lance Armstrong, who thought this was a great new star being born for Australian cycling.
Well, Jack said this morning he was going to take it easy today, but he lives in South Australia. He'll be inspired by the home crowd, and he's making a move. He is the under-23 World Time Trial Champion, so he's at his best when he's alone against the watch, but he's got about 89, 90 riders chasing him just at the moment. They'll soon be lining up for the long straight finish. He's opened up a gap. He really has got a lot of power, this rider.
Well, that's a good gap. You see the main field now splitting up two sides of organisation. The teams of the sprinters now are trying to keep the pace nice and high. That's not a very big main field. In fact, there's only around about 90 riders left in it. That's not the kilometre banner just yet. We've got to get right into the heart of town here. But I'll tell you one thing, Jack Bobridge is looking like a man determined here to steal the glory away from the sprinters this afternoon.
Well, this is a long straight road now. Bobridge wisely keeping under the trees there, hoping they won't see him quite so clearly, but look at that. Through on the inside, they've taken over the pressure, and it looks as though it's Radio Shack.
Radio Shack in the red jerseys on the inside, but they're now being overtaken by Team HTC. But Lance Armstrong is very happy to come to the front end of the main field and here play domestique to his team sprinter Geert Stegemans.
Stegemans coming to the team, hand-picked by Armstrong, and now trying to be guided through to a first win for Radio Shack. They promised a stage win. Will it be today? But look at the action coming through from HTC Columbia. They were beaten by Team Skyer on the right of the road in that black strip at the moment. But watch out now, because as they start to break for the line, it looks as though Radio Shack is setting up Henderson, and they're using their top men, and a good rush too by the Liquigas boys. They're right over the left of the road here. The thing is, they can see the finishing line. It's an awful long way off, and it's slightly uphill.
Well, Liquigas in complete control here. You can see one or two shoulders are starting to bump there. In the second rank there, it's the Sky team that obviously trying to get their man Henderson up there, but the acceleration is starting. Look over on the right-hand side. That's HTC Columbia.
Well, as they start to break for the line now, that is Sabatini from Liquigas, who swung off, and he's looked at the wrong man. Chris Sutton is in front of Henderson. Graham Brown is coming on the left of the field here, and on the far left off our picture, it looks as though Greipel is making a move. Look at the speed of Greipel as he goes over them all. Rowlands looked as though he had it on the right, but Greipel has come through from the left and taken it on the line. That was an incredible sprint.
It certainly was. 20 victories for Andre Greipel last year. Just have a look at the acceleration. Here he is over on the right-hand side. He's a far way down. Lots of bumping and barging on the left-hand side. The red jersey there is Geert Stegemans, but the acceleration, once the turbo kicks in for Andre Greipel, well, no one's going to stop him, are they? A clear bicycle and a half win over everybody else.
And there's the photo finish. It was a long way in front. That was the way to win a sprint. His 6th in history in this event.
Well, Andre, after a practice run on Sunday, today you got it completely right.
Yeah, we were again the lucky workers. We started first to chase them down, and we won the stage. And I mean, it's I think we deserve the victory.
Two of Greipel's teammates there, 45 Marcel Seberg, 44 Bernard Eisel, had done their job well, and their former teammate of last year, Hincapie, there. It was a clear victory, wasn't it?
A phenomenal burst up to the line there by this man, Andrei Greipel, completely boxed in and a long way down, but it just goes to prove, Phil, that this man is back for a good season for 2010 with huge power.
Well, there's the result. In fact, this is the standings now overall. Greipel with the bonuses had a 4-second advantage over Gert Stegmans, so he wears the ochre jersey when we go out onto stage number 2 tomorrow, the race getting underway from nearby Gawler. Well, let's have a look at the Michelob Ultra Ride of the Day, and I think you'll all agree it goes today to the 20-year-old from South Australia in his first Santos Tour Down Under, and that's Tim Rowe. He made his move just 10 kilometres into the stage today. He still had the legs at 27 kilometres to go from the finish to take the only climb of the day and become the first leader in the Skoda King of the Mountains competition. So Tim Rowe is the Michelob Ultra Ride of the Day. Well, that wraps it up for today's action. Be sure to tune in for more Santos Tour Down Under tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the Epic Cycle presented by Michelob Ultra. And don't forget to catch Paul Sherwin's one-on-one with Lance Armstrong Saturday, January 23rd at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For a full cycling schedule, log on to our website at versus.com, and you can follow us on Twitter at VS Cycling. For Paul Sherwin, I'm Phil Liggett saying so long for now.